Hello everybody. It's been a while since we've done anything with this motor. It's been sitting here a few weeks. This is Tom behind the camera, by the way. John's off climbing mountains or whatever he's doing when he's not here. We left off just taking some of the pistons out. They're over here on the bench. And if you remember cylinder 2 there, you can see all of the rust and scoring and shmoo that's been accumulating on that. That was the problem cylinder. I ended up ordering a new sleeve and piston for that cylinder, but I figure while we have the thing out, it's probably best to take everything apart because this is the time to do it, when it's out of the machine. And I'm skeptical about putting it together without verifying that all the oil galleries and everything are free of rust and debris or anything that could potentially cause an issue in the future. It's going to be significantly more work to take this thing apart. I mean, not only moving it around, it's so heavy, but also gaskets and everything like that. They're not as available for these D330s. This is a D330A. They're not as available as, like, say, a 3304 or 3306. Those you can get gasket kits, no problem. This engine, it's difficult to find, so we're end up going to have to make all the gaskets for the front cover and stuff like that, I'm thinking. But I would rather go ahead, get this all the way blown apart, or at least to the point where I can verify everything's clean and clear, then stick it back together. It'll also be easier to polish the crank journals and verify their diameter. A big issue with these particular engines is they ran loose oil clearances from the factory, which is particularly on the rods, which is why we have some Babbitt transfer onto a few of these, which we have to polish off. And then also, if you can see in here, there's a little bit of surface. I mean, you can't even feel it with your finger, but it's just a little bit of discoloration from water in the main bearings. So that also has to be polished off. To polish the mains, the best thing to do is to take the crank out, and to do that, whole motor's got to come apart, practically. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. I'm thinking what I'm going to start with is we have this nice, where the pan bolt's on, it's a nice flat surface. I'm thinking about putting 2 I-beams down on the floor here and stacking some stuff up, get the engine set down on the I-beams horizontally. That way I can get the front cover and the clutch housing off the engine, along with any other accessories, probably the oil filter canister. Get that off, just again, so I can clean it. But I'm hoping this isn't the wrong decision. I mean, I know when you get an injection pump off and stuff, there's timing you have to deal with, and I'd imagine this cover plate allows you to reset and to verify and stuff. But there's a lot of gears in there. We have the manual. It's just it's a lot of work to get this thing in the machine, run it, and then find out that you blew bearings back out of the machine, take it apart. So I think this is the way to go. This is what I'm gonna do. Let me set the camera up, and we'll get it moved, and then start taking stuff off. I'm gonna use some double-walled cardboard they try to protect the deck from this adapter. They're going to use a hoist it. See what happens like that. Oh, run out of come along. Oh, hopefully I can get it over there. Need a bar.
It was at this point that Tom realized it was going to be a lot easier to move the engine with the cribbing out of the way.
Okay. Alright, that looks decent. We got good load paths everywhere down. It's a little shy over here, but I'm okay with that. It doesn't seem to be unstable, unless you really get at it, so. Alright, first thing I think I'm going to do is on the back of the engine, we got the flywheel here. We already have the clutch and everything out of it, but there's this inner planetary or whatever this is about. There's 3 bolts, I believe, holding this in. Just have keepers that keep this from moving axially. Bend over locks, fold the locks back over and get these 3 small small bolts out. Then I'll be able to get these big ones out and take the whole flywheel off. I'm trying to take this thing off because a couple pounds is going to make this a hell of a lot easier to maneuver. Probably going to have to get the hoist in here, but it'd be nice to be able to do it by hand. It's just this is heavy with a capital H, like everything else on this entire machine. And this isn't even the big stuff, so, you know, meaning big tractors. So let's see if we can shed some weight. We can also inspect the bearings while we're in there, you know. I feel like every time I go to get a tool, it is halfway across the continent. By that I mean in the other room. Here's that out. Bearing looks immaculate. It's also got some sort of spacer. I'll go ahead and get those 8 bolts out. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 9 bolts out. And hopefully get the flywheel off. I'm gonna make the mistake of taking the bolts out, realizing it's too heavy, putting it back on, and then getting the hoist. So let's go ahead and do that. I own a half-inch breaker bar. I know I do. Okay. There's a pointer up here. I'd imagine has to do with timing of some sort. It's just a flathead screw. I'm gonna run that all the way out because I think it's gonna interfere. That and the drain plug. The plug we should have used when we dumped oil all over the place over there. Not the first time I made that mistake. I don't know why I didn't think of it. Don't need a catch can this time. You can see there's a magnet on there. So a little bit of stuff on that magnet, but not a whole lot. So really I'm not worried at all about the state of the clutch and everything. It all looked fine. Just it's good that everything agrees. So it's loose. At least it appeared to be loose. Put my bolts back in. Okay. Probably only around 120 pounds. Not bad. And then there's just those, however many bolts are in there. That whole piece comes off and we can make our way to the other side of the motor. My goal really is just to get the timing and stuff all the way off, all the timing components and the cover off, just so we can get the crank out. If I can get the crank out, maybe the cam, probably the cam, the balance shafts, get those out, look at the cam bearings, look at the balance shaft bearings. I'm assuming those will be fine, just given the state of the mains. Give everything a quick polish, and hopefully we can throw it all back together. Hopefully I get this done before the camera dies. Where are all my tools? In my hand. These are fragile. These fold-over locks are brittle. Thirteen sixteenths, 3/4. Yes. This is probably heavier than the flywheel is. Probably put those gloves back on. I guess it's 200 pounds. It's on dowels. Okay. Now, 100 and 150 at most. That's the back of the crank, so you can even see the main down here. That means that can come out now. So it looks like that's the cam. These are the balance shafts, so everything's accessible there. Just got to get to the front of the motor and take all that more complex stuff apart. It also looks like we can make a gasket out of a single sheet of 12-inch or something like that. Maybe if I get a 16-inch roll, we can make a whole gasket. Actually, it looks like that one came off in one piece, so that might be reusable. Ideally, we can reuse as much as possible. Probably remake gaskets. They're easy to make. Alright, set up on the front of the motor now. We got some... First thing, got to get this balancer bolt out. Should have loosened that when I still had the flywheel on, so I had something to torque against. Because right now, it's easy to turn, so it's not really much to torque against. I'll figure that out. But I'm trying to figure out if there's an easy way to... It looks like the injection pump and everything is hung right off the front of this. So it's going to come off either way. It's probably where I should start. Honestly, I think if I get the cover off first, there's an intermediate plate, which it looks like the injection pump and everything is bolted to the intermediate plate, and then the cover's bolted to that. So I'm going to start with that balancer bolt. The chance I can use the inertia of the crankshaft, because I think we had this a little loose before. I might be misremembering. It's probably not the case. Let's see if I can torque against that. Yep. It's a job for a big impact. Good thing we have a 1-inch impact. Bad news is it's still in the box. So let me get that unboxed. It's one of those Harbor Freight specials. With a D handle and a gun. Looks like it even comes with some sort of barb. I think that's all that's in the box. Thing is something this big, you're really looking for the bigger size airlines, 3/8 ID or whatever they are. It's not what I have, and it appears that they just have this barb. It's not even a... See, they expect you to just... See, I got one of these pieces of airline, but it's only that small, 1/4-inch ID. It's a normal air hose. And it, most definitely, I mean, the OD of this is almost the same as the OD of the air hose. So I'll see, it's like a 3/4-inch pipe thread or something like that. Most airlines are like a 1/2-inch pipe thread. I'm assuming this thing just eats air. So, see if I can adapt down if it has enough balls with small airline. Alright, I got an adapter to take it from 3/4 down to 3/8 or whatever that is, NPT. I just got grease on the threads because I'm pretty sure this isn't going to stay on there for any amount of time. But we'll get it on there. I got the compressor aired up. Give it the best chance of working. Let's see. Tightening. It's loosening. All right. Well, I didn't have the camera rolling the entire time, but I worked that monstrosity, that whole puller arrangement I had on there. Hopefully I have that on camera. I got that tight, took some manipulating to get it to run true, got it under a lot of torque, and tapped the back of it with a hammer. The whole thing fell right off. I was just waxing poetically over whether or not this is a tapered fit until I realized the camera was not rolling. None of that matters. And you can go ahead and get the front cover off. Hopefully, on camera this time. Turn the camera on, Tom. Okay. Should really buy one of those electric half-inch impact guns. I got all Milwaukee batteries. Actually, I don't have any. My brother Matt, he has all the Milwaukee stuff that I use, and I should just buy a half-inch gun. Would make my life a lot easier. But take this cover off and see what that's about. I got the book right over there too. I could just read and see what's what. I'm sure it's going to tell me that the whole timing, or not timing, injection pump and everything should come off first. And that I'm doing this completely ass backwards. And I'll learn that when I sit down and read it. There's 4 studs that went into this front cover. They're fine thread on one side and coarse on the other. The coarse side going into the block. Where did I put that brass hammer? Am I looking right at it? Where is it? Where are you? Where'd you go? All right. Hydraulic pump. I'm surprised I haven't split any doing this. I really shouldn't be using these 12-point chromes to really bear down on what should be frozen fasteners, or what I expected to be frozen fasteners. Especially that one, I know I'm going to round off if I don't clean it up and get a 6-point on there. So. Also, I don't know why I talked through most of this, because I'm sure this is going to be a, what do you call that? When time goes fast. Yep. Time lapse? Is that the word I'm looking for? Here's the hydraulic pump off. Time lapse. Instant replay. Something. The word's gonna come to me. Or I'll Google it, I guess. I don't know. It's late. I don't know what time it is. Gotta be late. There's a lot of dirt in the threads of these, which is strange. I guess I just got that caked in there. See, I got a couple bolts going through these bosses this way. Same thing over here, it looks like. Yep, there's a couple there. A few up here. And then that one, which I gotta clean up still. I'm gonna go at it with a 6-point. If I have a 9/16 6-point at hand. Which I'm sure I'm not going to. Let's see. What are you? 9/16 6-point. Deep well. Good enough for me. couple of these are bolts that reach right through, which are going to be a pain in the ass to get out if I don't take the injection pump off first. I also feel, I don't know how I feel. Make sure not to drop that one inside the crankcase. Get this distribution block off. Hoping a lot of this stuff is identical on the other motor, so we have an idea of how it's supposed to go back together when that time comes. It'll be nice to be freshly intimate with how things go back together on the machine. When we take that motor out, stuff this one in, we will have just taken all that motor apart, so we'll know exactly how to put this one back in. Let's get this bolt off of there. No way in hell. I guess let's get a wrench on that. The other thing is, this is a bolt, which the nut is on this side of the motor, which means the bolt has to get through that side of the motor, or that side of the plate, which means it has to have been put in. The bolt had to have been put in before the injection pump, which means the injection pump went on last, which means it should come off first. So I don't know why I'm fighting this uphill battle. I don't know. That was nice. Looks like I got everything off this side. This one, nope, still got one back there. I don't know if this ring is part of the timing cover or not. I guess I'll find out soon enough. Those bolts are out. Goes down here. Okay. Couple bolts hidden behind where the hydraulic pump was, which are very easy to get to now that I took the hydraulic pump off. You can see, hopefully that's a dowel. I'm assuming there's going to be another one over there somewhere. It's coming apart. Oh, that was tapered. Huh. Okay, what does it look like? It is a tapered fit, very slight taper, so that's good to know, not crazy. It appears like I probably did need to take this cover off to get this gear out if I'm going to take that injection pump off. So, maybe, I don't know. There's like an intermediate piece in here. Not worrying about that right now. All these are marked, so I'm not really worried about taking them off. We already got the balance shafts out of, that gear can probably stay on. I wonder what I should actually take apart here. He looked at the camera. I thought maybe it wasn't running this whole time. I'm thinking something. Ideally, I take the injection pump and everything off, all the fuel stuff, get this intermediate plate off. And it's looking like at that point we can roll the engine on its side over here, so we can get the crank out the bottom when the engine's orientated 90 degrees from its current position. Because I mean, really, I want to get the crank out anyway, or the crank and the cam. Probably those balance shafts, like I said before. I believe this is just an idler for all the fuel on this gear. It looks like this might have a bit of a thrust face. That's holding it in. Yeah, it looks like nothing is thrusting on that plate, aside from maybe the injection, or the, what's it call it? Hydraulic pump. What to do? Probably just gonna call it a night.